all animals capable of suffering are entitled to a certain kind of equality. That is, their suffering should be given the same weight as the similar suffering of any other being, so that if we compare, for example, the suffering of a dog or a pig and the suffering of a small human child, I think they're just as bad. I mean, if we can say they're similar kinds of suffering, it's just as bad that the pig or the dog should suffer as that the child should suffer. And that's the sense in which I think they should have equal moral status. We should not say, because this is not a human being, its suffering doesn't matter or doesn't matter as much as the suffering of a human being would matter. But when it comes to questions of killing, of taking the life of another being, although I still don't think that it's relevant whether the being is a member of the species Homo sapien or a member of some other species, I do think that the mental capacities of the being are relevant, and in particular, the extent to which the being can think about its future and plan its future is relevant. So that means that normally, for a normal human being, who of course normally we do think a lot about our future and we make plans for what we're going to do next year or over the long term, I think to kill such a being is a greater tragedy against that being's will, a greater tragedy than to kill a being who just lives by the moment without thinking about the future. And so if you compare the killing of most human beings, normal humans, with non-human animals, you would say that it is worse to kill a normal human being than a non-human animal. But that's not because one is human and the other isn't. And if you have a human being who is so mentally damaged, so severely intellectually disabled, that human can't think about the future, then I think the cases are much more similar. So then the question is, what follows from this about the way we treat animals, and in particular whether we are justified in eating them. And as I said, it's not so much the fact that animals are killed in order to be eaten by us, but rather that in any commercial system of raising them, their interests are not really counted properly. So when I said we should give equal consideration to their suffering, we don't do this. Instead we build these enormous industrial farms, these factory farms, and we transport them in horrific conditions, long distances, and then we slaughter them also often with pain and suffering. So I see this as the main reason why we should not eat them, because if we do eat them, we support these commercial industrialized systems of raising and killing animals, which I think are clearly wrong because they don't respect the equal significance of the suffering of animals.